and good morning. We welcome you, your family, and your friends to Unity of Bellingham, where we honor the universal truths in all religions and respect each individual's right to choose a spiritual path. I'm Liz Leighton, and I'm your service assistant today. And Reverend Frank's talk today is quite interesting. Coyote America, our transformation. Okay. And today our music is provided by the beautiful Heartdream. Thank you so much for being with us today. And now as we prepare for our time of prayer and reflection, let's hold the words of this meditation hymn quietly in your heart.
Our thoughts are prayers, and we are always praying. Our thoughts are prayers. Take charge of what you're saying. Seek a higher consciousness, a state of peacefulness, and know that God is always there. And every thought becomes a prayer. Our thoughts are prayers, and we are always praying. Our thoughts are prayers. Take charge of what you're saying. Seek a higher consciousness, a state of peacefulness, and know that God is always there. And every thought becomes a prayer.
Every thought is a prayer. So as we open this time of prayer and reflection, take a moment to become still in your body and mind. Take a deep breath and relax into the stillness of spirit within you. Whether we are praying for the world or for the dear ones in our lives, let's look beyond any troubling circumstances and acknowledge the presence of God as pure, unlimited wholeness, health, love, peace, and prosperity. Let's take a moment to speak the names for whom we send out our affirmative blessings. Shanae, Pearson, David. We affirm that you are healthy, whole, healed, and blessed in every way, and we are grateful for you in our lives. And as we continue in this prayerful state, relax more deeply into your chair. Release any tension or worry as you breathe easily. Release any negative feelings and breathe. With each breath, we are blessed with new energy for our spiritual journeys and our spiritual transformation. As you inhale, open yourself to being renewed. And as you exhale, release any old feelings and belief systems that may no longer serve you. As we soften to the indwelling presence of Spirit, we open to new thoughts and feelings. We open to our personal transformation. In the stillness of the inner world of my soul, I commune with Spirit, and I am renewed. As I open to a transformation in my mind, in my body, and in my heart, I am guided by the indwelling Spirit of God and of all that is good, kind, and loving. I know and affirm the power and presence of God in all circumstances, and the best and highest outcomes are assured for me and for all. I know there is good to come, and I welcome it. My spiritual path is renewed and refreshed. I am guided by divine inspiration, I'm guided by divine inspiration to uphold a positive and pure path of truth, light, and love. Now, please hold the upcoming music from Heartdream quietly in your heart and allow it to be a continuation of our meditation time. So it is.
Walk ye right in from the dawn and step into the
I say this all the time, but people can harmonize amaze me. For those of us who, anyhow, it amazes me. Harmony. Let's talk about harmony. But first off, let me tell you what we're going to do today, so you kind of know where we're going. This is a little presentation in three acts. The first act, what we're going to do is we're going to go and look at the Gospel of John, because with George and his class and the Mysteries of John, we've been doing the book, The Mysteries of John, about the Gospel of John. And by the way, there's still 5 weeks left. You're welcome to join us Wednesday nights at 6:30. But and I've read that book and read the Gospel of John, and I found something in there that I just never saw before. And I want to share that with you because it all works together for where we're going today. And then in Act 2, so Act 1 you might call the Gospel of John and the Mysteries of Water. Okay, and then Act 2 has a different name. It's called, and it's the talk title, and I know you've been waiting for this, Coyote America. Like, what are you going to do with coyotes? Oh, just wait. And then Act 3 is a question. And Act 3 ends this talk with a question I'm going to give you, and then I'm done. And then you can take Act 3 with you, and then I'd be really curious to find out what happens in your Act 3. But let's start from the beginning, Act 1, and we're back into John. And what's really interesting about the Gospel of John, and it's something I've noticed, Diane and I took classes in salsa. We learned how to salsa dance, and we can do the basic steps, right? And do you know salsa? Do you know how it goes? And if you're the lead, it's just like step forward, step back, and pause. So there's really 3 steps, right? You think it's only 2. It's like step forward and step back. But what's really cool is you got to pause. You got to stop. And what's really cool about it is when you do that, stop. And then if you're the person who's the follower, the female, the follower, however who's following, it's a step back and then a step forward. And then pause. And then you can do all sorts of fun stuff. But it's always, what I'm suggesting, and you're going to love this, George. Yeah, I'm suggesting that the Gospel of John is like salsa dancing. Yeah, I knew you'd like that. Yeah, where's this going? Yeah. Well, this is a fascinating thing. Because what happens, you see this from the very start. When first, and here's the first part, step 1. Right? Step 1, step out Jesus. For example, at the very start, and I'm just going to blitz through some of the stories in the Gospel of John, and you may probably, if you're familiar with the scripture, you'll recognize all these. But he meets John the Baptist. He goes out to meet John. John comes out to meet Jesus. Step 1, they go and they take an action. And step 2, that says, okay, and John baptizes with water. Step 3, in the silence, in the pause, but Jesus baptizes with the Spirit. It's subtle. It's subtle. It's in the silence. It's not in the action. It's not in the flurry. It's in the let's take a pause. Jesus goes to a wedding feast in Cana. You know this story, right? Step 1, let's go to the wedding feast and let's get some vessels. We're out of wine. Step 2, fill up the vessels with water. Oh, that's funny. Wasn't John just about baptizing in water? And now we're talking about water again. Step 2, water. Step 3, turns to wine. It's this subtle shift. You'll notice that there's no wine unless you go to the feast and get the jugs and fill them with water, and then the energy of wine. And what's interesting, I kept looking, what exactly did Jesus say when the water turned to wine? What was the prayer? What was the action? What really happened? How do I emulate that? And Jesus must have said something, right? And what he said is, he said, go get the jugs and fill them with water. Pause. And people sampled it and went, that's the best wine I ever had. Interesting. Subtle. Silent. I know this effectiveness, almost sometimes when the flurry of action stops and we can be in that space of spirit. There's a place where Jesus says he goes to this pool of Siloam. It's going through the Gospel of John, and he sees this person has been sitting there for forever. And the way it works is that the water ripples and someone says, it's the angel, and whoever gets in the water first gets healed. But he's hurt, he's paralytic. And he goes, I'm trying to get in the water, and people jump in ahead of him, and he goes, it never works for me. So Jesus goes to the pool of Siloam, and he sees the person. He makes the contact. Do you want to be healed? Oh, and this is a great answer, by the way. This is a great answer. You would think the answer would be, sure. But his answer is, well, you see all these people jumping in front of me, and if there's an angel, and if I could get in there first, I would be the one to be healed, but no one helps me, so I can't do it, and I'm the victim of all this, and then, if someone would help me, and nobody helps me, and I'm just sitting here, and everyone jumps in before me, and how am I supposed to get in the water? And it's like, dude, do you want to be healed? Action 2, yeah, I do. And get up and walk. Do you see the subtlety? It's in that. And I'm like, well, what? Did he say something special? No, it's just like, okay, there's this affirmation. There's this, I'm standing in the energy. I'm feeling beyond just the freneticness of it all. And I'm hearing this Christ energy, this spiritual note, this voice, this sense in our soul, this subtleness. And says, yes, I do. And he got up and he walked. Jesus goes to the pool. He goes to a well, and all the disciples have gone in to get food. And there's a woman, a Samaritan woman. Don't know her name. I wish some of these people, they would have wrote their names down. That would have been cool. I don't know what these people say. I don't know the guy who is here. I don't know this lady's name. But she says, Jesus says, hi. Okay, that was pretty radical. And she says, oh, you're a Jewish man, I'm a Samaritan woman. Don't you know the rules? Dude, there's rules here, and you're just breaking the rules. You're not supposed to be asking me. He says, hi, would you get me some water? And she says, you can't ask me for water. I mean, same thing, right? It's like, sure. She could have just said, sure. But it says like, well, there's rules, and you can't give, and you're Jewish, and I'm Samaritan, you're not supposed to talk to me. And once again, the whole story of why it won't work, why it can't be done, why there's a boundary that's disallowing me to go forward to my greatest and highest next step, that's disallowing me to feel the connection to the Christ energy that I want to go forward to. And it's like, enough of these rules, Will you give me some water? You're asking me for water? I'll give you some water, I guess. Oh, well, if you knew who I was, you'd be asking for living water. Again, we'll turn it around. There's living water here. Step 1, action, usually some sort of, pushback. Action 2. I love this, and I brought these really symbols. I did the Washingtonian picnic ethos here with the, but it's just like, the simple thing. It's like, first, it's just so simple, water. And we could do, and then water, and then it becomes wine. And these two things, right? And the first thing is set the table. Set the table. Take an action. Take an action. Do something. And then we have water, and then we have the wine. Or we have the water, and then we have the living water. He sees a person walking on the road, he's blind. And he says, do you want to see? And he says, yes. Do you want to see? Yes. He spits water on the ground, step 1. He rubs it on the person's eyes. He says, go wash in the pool. He washes in the pool, and that water becomes living water, and he sees. Step 1, do you want to be healed? Yes. Water, living water. We can't live without it. Water. And then what happens is a transformation, and he sees. Step 1, step 2, subtle. Connecting. And I went back, and the last few days I've been reading these stories again. I said, well, what exactly did you do, Jesus? I showed up as the Christ. We show up as the Christ. I said, well, how do you show up as the Christ? So I went back, I said, well, you must do a lot of praying. And so I read back in John, there's all these situations where Jesus says he left the apostles, he goes up by himself, and he just sat, and he didn't say he sat. I'm saying he sat. I'm imagining he's sitting in some lotus position, and he's affirmative prayer, and he's in meditation. It doesn't say. He took time to connect with this energy he called his Father. He took time to resonate and to know the truth of this Christ nature. He lived so powerfully, so in the affirmation of that truth, that every time finally step 1 and step 2 happened, he could bring people, the Christ can bring us, the life, this truth, this presence can bring us to a new state of like, wait a second. there's a higher resonance here. There's a higher vibration. Jim was just talking about the vibration of pollen and these connections and how it attracts, the vibration, the energy, the match, this Christic energy, this spiritual match, this getting to the point. But first, we have to take step 1 and 2. It's fascinating when it's when then the water, what is that of our humanity, which is the result of our action, go fill the jugs at the wedding table. I needed that. Go fill the jugs with water, and then something more can happen. Do that process. Yeah. And it's water and wine. It's our action in the world, and it's the subtle allowance of the Christ energy that we resonate with that works well. He didn't say, go get some empty vessels, and then did something and they became wine. You got to put the water in to get the wine. You got to put the mud on the eyes to be able to see. You got to encourage the person to get up before they can walk. There's all this, and it keeps revolving around this symbology of water, which Fillmore would talk about and Carl Jung would talk about. All these people would talk about the deep metaphor, this archetypal stuff, water that could be anything from stagnant to flowing and living and alive. And it can be all of that. And he's asked, go into those stagnant places where the water is stagnant. And we're human, we all have these stagnant water places like these ponds with scum on the top, and you're like, and then it opens up and it flows and it cleans out. And you go down to Whatcom Falls Park and people stand on that waterfall and they're all just like, just water, just clean, flowing, crystal clear water. People just, there's dozens of people stand on the waterfall and they don't know what to say. They're just like, this is amazing. It is. We know this thing of living water is both as a truth and as a metaphor for what Jesus is talking about. And these stories keep happening throughout. I don't know how many I wrote down. I wrote down like dozens of these stories, and they keep happening. The John Salsa, Gospel of John Salsa. Step 1, step 2. I keep looking at George. I know he's going like our scripture study guys. I know. He's either going to say it's great, or he's going to go like Reverend Frank. Jesus is on the cross. He's suffering. He says, I thirst. Follows through on this step, and then recognizes, I need something. I'm thirsty. And what did they give him? They put up a sponge of wine. 1, 2. He wanted water, but what he really wanted was this fortification of the spiritual substance, this transformational, this next stage, this Christic energy, this subtle. And as I was listening to this talk, this person was talking about the mystical journey. I was listening on a podcast, and they said this place where people get so sensitive that they can just look at a vein, and they practice and they just touch. And all of a sudden, it's like, I feel the flow. Like we say, do you ever sit in meditation and all of a sudden your heart is just like you're just dancing with your heart? You get into that subtle place and you're just like, dum, 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 dum. You're like, I'm just dancing in this. We have to get to that quiet place, that connective place, that place where it's not the either or you and me, and it's just a transformation into a like a unified like substance, a spiritual substance. Like I get into that oneness of the Christ energy of me, of you, and it happens in individuals. It happens in communities. And then Jesus died, and what do? They took a spear, and that's what they did. Well, let's be sure he's dead, and they shoved a spear, and out from the side came what? Water and blood. Water. It starts off with John the Baptist, water and living water and wine, water and blood, water and seeing. It's this. The salsa, the Gospel of John salsa. And right at the very end when Jesus died and they put in, what comes out? Both. We're humans, spiritual beings that are human, physical, spiritual beings that are human, physical, spiritual beings that are both. And the nexus and the joy of all of that. Okay, end of Act 1. What does that matter? And how does it matter in life? And so I read, and how does it matter in our contemporary time? And what do we want to do? So it's a long story, which I won't tell you. I found this book called Coyote America. And I thought, yeah, I'll just flip through it. I don't know anything about coyotes, and I don't want to. Oh my God, I was mesmerized. Mesmerized. Because, about the late 1800s and into the 1900s, as the current, the not so much the indigenous, but the European-centric people came to America and then pushed across the West. We wanted to, kill what was wild. Let's just kill all the buffaloes, all the coyotes, all the wolves, all the cougars, all the bears, and then we can and all the buffalo, and then we can just bring our cows and our pigs and our chickens, the things we like to eat, and those things are predators. We can't have predators, right? This was the thing. And I can go, it's a long book, and I can give you lots of numbers about how many millions of wolves were killed. And it wasn't just like we went out and trapped them. It's like we'd go out and people were paid to do this, right? And shoot a buffalo and they get cyanide. And they'd take pieces of buffalo, they'd just plant the cyanide, the poison, then they'd go away and come back a couple days later and just dozens and dozens of animals just racked in pain, just dead all around, rack them up. They said for a while there in some of the western states, a major part, more than 50% of their budget was paying for $1 a head for pelts of wolves to get rid of them so we could bring in our cattle and graze things that human beings wanted to do. And, as someone who eats meat sometimes, this is not about guilt or shame. It's about taking a step of knowing how this works. And there was a whole thing in this book I read about this thing, the wildlife, the U.S. Wildlife Service said, fish and wildlife? No, it's wild. I kept looking it up. Where's wildlife, sir? I don't even know what that is. Wild, is it fish and wildlife? It's not fish and wildlife, it's wild. It turns out it's a program under the USDA, Department of Ag, where we want to make sure the food supply and meat is inexpensive, so we got to destroy predators, wolves, coyotes. Of course, in this book, they say how they did these long studies of coyotes, and they showed that they mostly are eating ground squirrels and moles and rats and stuff. There is some indication, depends on which website, that coyotes do eat some, if they get in your chicken coop, your chickens are done for. So what's the answer? And the last, what I read today was that it's about 500,000 coyotes a year we kill. 500,000, because they're predators. Of course, there's about meat cattle, it depends on which source. These are approximate numbers. 80 million cows in the United States. But about 35 million are killed a year. We take out the cow at about 18 months, although if they were to live naturally, they'd live to about 15 years. But we slaughter them at about 18 months. This is what happens. I'm not making big judgments. I'm just trying to understand. But those predators, who's the predator? More than 1 billion, with a B, billion chickens a year are slaughtered in the U.S. 130-some million pigs are, I like bacon. I'm just being honest about what happens. And but what's a predator? A species that preys on and eats other species. And I'm like, who's the predator? No, again, I'm not saying this to make any kind of judgments against anybody, I'm just saying we got to know. We got to understand what's happening. So why coyote? Well, the wolf populations that used to be millions in the United States, there's some thousands now. I remember being in Yosemite or Yellowstone, and I was driving along, and there was a bunch of cars pulled over the side of the road, and so I jumped out. What's going on? They went, there's a wolf. And people are lined up with these big scopes and pictures, and they're all just like, there's a wolf. It's so beautiful. And it's like, yeah, we just wiped out hundreds of millions of them. And now we see one, and it's just emotional to see these beautiful animals. And I'd be the first one to admit, if I was out hiking on a trail and came around the corner and there was a wolf, a grizzly bear, or a cougar, I might be sort of happy that that particular animal wasn't there in my world. But it begs a question like, is there a way? So here's the question. Is there a way we live into the balance of things, into the connectivity of things, including what we think is wild, although I think wild is good, that's a predator. There's whole departments of U.S., I told you the Wildlife Service, and there's a whole section of predator control, for the safety of our food supply. Okay, I get it. But I ask myself, it's like step one, what's going on? Step two, water, what do I might want to do? But before we jump into oh my God, because there's some people that get very angry about these kind of things, and we have Protect the Wolf Society and put them on the endangered species list, and the different ways we want to eat, and the sensitivity to the whole dynamic. Do you feel it? There can be tension there. It's like, well, I want to maybe eat vegetarian, but what do they do? Is there a better way to kill meat? Can it be more humane? I've seen some of the things happen to pigs. Maybe I should, but we shouldn't kill so many wolves, and all this stuff. And what I want to suggest, and here's what Coyote tells us, that smart little Coyote. What I want to suggest to you is one step, now I know the data. 2 step, now I got to take action. But there's the step of the transformational consciousness. How do we bring the Christ to go, okay, how does all this sit for me? And from the Christic perspective of life, from connectivity, from wanting to be in a world in balance, wanting to respect the outpicture of the ecosystem, the biosphere, the way things organically just sort of unfold in a healthy way. Well, how do I sit in that energy and be silent and go, what's mine to do? So the wolves just practically almost were extinct. They're still on the endangered species list. The grizzly bears, the cougars are having a hard time of it. Coyote says, well, I'll take this matter into my own hands. And even though they kill 500,000, 500,000 coyotes a year in the United States, the population of coyotes is going up. It's going up. So what they did is like, well, if we get in trouble being out in these areas, they've now snuck into the cities. Chicago has a huge population of coyotes. Cleveland, all these big cities. And so they found a way to said, and what the author suggests in here, there's almost like, we have our sense of how just we sort of grew up, and it's in our DNA, it's in our genes. It's like, oh my God, from 10,000 years ago we came across, and it was saber-toothed tigers and all these things, and it's like predator, kill it, attack. And there's something like an actual change in our sensitivity. There's this evolution of our sense of how things might be, how we might live in a harmony. How we might not just take the first step of water, so we got to be practical, and take the second step of saying, how do I pause and make wine so that I can take water in a new way, so I can see in a different way, and apply this to I was just reading a book on climate issues, the whole climate crisis that we're in right now. And it's easy enough to go, step one, pour the water. Oh, let me just tell you, and I could tell you for the next hour all the issues that I know of that the climate crisis is causing. And the data, and we could go into, oh my God, it's scary. We could really swish up the water. But here, it's like, what if we took a step and knew all this and just took the third step into the Christic energy, the energy of silence, the energy of, okay, I can trust that Spirit is involved in all this. And I can trust that the Christ of me can respond in the world to find this, like Coyote, to find a new harmony, a new balance, a new way of life, a new way of saying, wait a second, how do I bring, and it happens when we take that pause. And this is what I've been really challenging myself to do, and I'll challenge it to you too. And in case you don't think like how are we going to change? This is the boat's moving this way. We are stubborn as a culture, as a world. We like our fossil fuels. How are we ever going to change this ship? I can tell you that when I grew up on a plane, they used to ask you, do you want to sit in the smoking section or the non-smoking section? We used to get on planes full of hundreds of pounds of jet fuel that ignites like this and shoots a rocket through space, and we thought it was a good idea to put little white things and light a match. And all of a sudden, maybe that's not such a good idea. And maybe we don't want to, and maybe smoking's not such a good idea. There's another one. And all of a sudden, I can't even watch a 1950s, 60s black and white movie. It's like, are you kidding me? Did the whole world? It's just like everybody's smoking and men are treating women like, oh my God, you really talk to her that way? You can't talk to a woman that way. And was she mad? No, she kind of went, yeah, okay, well, that's how you people talk to me. It's like, was that the culture? Did we relate to that way? And the beautiful thing about internet and TV is we've got like a time capsule snapshot of how we used to think what was the way to live. And I look back at that stuff and we transformed. We said, there's maybe in consciousness a different way we can show up. I remember as a kid, you could go to McDonald's, go through the drive-thru, get 2 bags of food, get all your drinks and stuff, roll down your window and toss it. Do you remember this? This was normal. There was commercials, public service commercials with the Native American just cry. Remember this guy? He would cry. He goes, what are we doing to our environment? Now, can you imagine someone rolling down their window and throwing out an apple core? Maybe an apple core. Okay, you're saying that's okay? Okay. Okay, let's talk about apple cores. Animals run in the street to eat them and bam! No, I'm joking. I'm not saying I've never done it either. But you wouldn't think of anyone drive down the street and throw out a plastic cup. Could you imagine? We change in consciousness. And what I love about it's almost in our genes. In our genes, we have these certain ways of and it's fine because this is what happens. This is our water, so this is our humanity. We have these genes. We've grown up and we found that, things that might attack us, we like to attack them first. But now we've caused all these extinctions, Is there another way? And in this book of Coyote America, it says it's almost epigenetic. You know this word? Where our genes, the expression of our genes, we've almost come to this place where wait a second. Okay, understandable, I don't want to meet a wolf on the trail late at night, and, granted. Is there another way from this place, what we started with, I love harmony. Is there a place to find the truth of the harmony of our natural world and our spiritual world? Is there a way to live, to feel the subtle truth of our planet, and not just and rightfully so. We want to protect our food supply, and we want all that. This is the stuff of our humanity. It's good, it's healthy, it's lively. But there's a subtle part of it too that brings in the next stage of how do we bring the Christ? How do we see it better? How do we live it more fully? How do we cross that threshold so that the party can go on? When you run out of wine, it's like there's even more and it's better and it's full. The fullness of life. How do we step into the next step? Coyote says, well, I'm just going to change and adopt. Can we, like Coyote, that trickster, we've talked about Coyote all year. Can we be like Coyote, change, adopt, find new ways to live in balance, Oh, and by the way, a funny little trivia. One of the reasons that we stopped trying to exterminate coyotes, we didn't try to kill coyotes until we killed all the wolves. It's like, well, we got all this money, we're killing things, the wolves are gone, so let's go for coyotes. And it was, of all people, Walt Disney, who started a whole series in the 30s of cartoons about coyotes. And people in the States, the wolves, it's too late for them, but people start going, oh, we like coyotes. And there was literally a consciousness shift. And even though there's have you heard of U.S. Wildlife Service, part of USDA, part of APHIS? They run around in helicopters and they shoot and they put cyanide and they've made laws you can't do this, but apparently, I don't know. I've just been reading a lot of National Geographic. That's my source, the USDA site, National Geographic, and some of these foundations. I try to get good sources. And it's not always clear, exactly how much is this what we should be doing? It's like there's a tug of war in our consciousness, in our cultural consciousness. There's part of us that goes, can we find a balance? Can we find a way to live in harmony? And there's another side of us, this is how we do it. We kill these things. They're predators. And and it's epigenetic. It's deep in our humanity. And we're asking, can we sink into a subtle place? And I'm making specifically the talk about animals, But you understand, I'm talking this as a metaphor. And this applies to the simplest things in our life that we're caught in the, that's always the way I do it. It's so hard and I want to make the transition, but I've poured this water and I've drinking from this cup for so long. But this cup, you have to pour it in the mud and put it on our eyes so that we can see. This is step 2. Step 3, the living water, the wine, the blood, the symbology, the spiritual side, takes a deeper, subtle connection. That subtle connection to the Christ energy of our lives. And we can apply it to the way we treat animals, the way we eat, the way we're in relationship, the way we're in community, anything we seem stuck on in our lives, any kind of issue in our life that seems to be tripping us up. Just ask ourselves, how do we move past? And it's not like, I shouldn't say we don't move past this, we incorporate it. It's when Jesus, at the end of his life, out came water and blood. The scintillating spiritual stuff as well as the very physical life-giving stuff where we're human beings, we're fully human spiritual beings, we're both. The John 2-step. So good thing for Coyote. So Act 3, I told you Act 3 as I end is a question for you. So here's the question, and maybe it's a kind of obvious one. Someplace in each of our lives, and I've been thinking about this for myself, and you can use the example of, we used to smoke on planes, and that was cool. And now, what? There is probably someplace in our life, in each of our lives, where we think this is the way we do it, but somehow I'm not satisfied with that anymore. And I want to find a way where I can take this part of my life, it could be individual life or community life, and transform it into wine, transform it into the sacred blood, transform it into living water, transform it from being blind so I can see, transform it to you want water, but I give you living water, transform it to John baptized in water, but I baptize in spirit, transform it, the next step. We're all dancing like the salsa like this. That's not the step. The step is somewhere in our lives, and maybe you can answer this from the place of unity in our community, where is the place we need to pause, connect, harmonize to that divine energy, harmonize to the Christic vibrational match into our life, and say, that's a place I'm going to transform into the wine, the life-giving water. I want to be able to see. Where is that? Act 3, the curtain is open, and I leave it with you. And whatever you come up with, let me know. I would be very curious. And I'll let you know what I've come up in my life, because already I've seen a number of things. Yeah, Michael. You had a question? Oh, okay. For beneficial solutions for two species in conflict. Yeah. Yeah. Hazing. And so, thank you. And I'm going to cut because I'm just looking at the clock. So I will explain what he just said. It's like there is, and he gave it's a great actual thing that happens, and it's a great metaphor. One of the ways we found a way, like coyotes in wolves in the fields or coyotes in the city, they found a solution. They say hazing. It's like one of the things, if we want to be in balance with coyotes, for example, don't feed them. Let them be what they are. You start feeding them, they get a little too comfortable, and they start getting a little too close, and then it puts toddlers and your dogs and cats at risk. And the thing of hazing is, it's kind of feels like a term, is like make it uncomfortable. There's like noisemakers, flags on the poles, different kind of things. We want to make sure that what they are can be the wild nature that they are. We can appreciate them, but keep them and let them be what they are. Because as soon as we get too cozy, they're not domesticated dogs, they're wild coyotes. So thank you. And it's a great further metaphor to this story of allowing things. It's like, well, maybe some of the thing is to allow things and allow people to be who they are, and not think like, well, the solution is we're going to be some kind of maybe best friends, or there's going to be a certain connection, which may or may not happen. Maybe the better thing is I am going to honor who you are, and you do you, and I will just admire that, and that's fine. And also, even for myself, there is parts of myself, just like the coyote, it's like, okay, that's a part of me. It doesn't mean I have to live from that and incorporate that and let everyone see that. But I also don't have to feel anyway guilty or shamed or worried that that's just a part of me. I know there's living water, and I know there's some stagnant pools of yuck inside of me too. I know that. Good. Human. But know it. Know it. So that we can do the step and go, I know the truth of me, and I know how to then unfold and heal and understand and move forward in new areas. Okay, so I want to end. You got one more? Okay. Sure. One more metaphor. Oh, God. Did you hear what she said? There's also the metaphor is then, as humans, what about predators? And so the way we treat other people, the way the prison industrial complex has grown right now, and the way, oh God, there's social justice issues. So you're making the metaphor between, are we have this predation element of who we are against other human beings? Well, we don't have to live in an energy that the way to go forward is to destroy the other. There's an election coming up. We do not have to go forward with any energy that the solution is to destroy anybody else. 1, 2, we can approach it with seeing there's some sacredness to things. We can approach it with a pause. And then there's so many things in social justice. So thank you, Sonia, for that. And so my question to you is, all of us, and here's Act 3, and then I'm stepping off because this act is for you. Pick a place. Don't bite off the whole world. Pick a place, one thing in your life, or suggest for our community life, where we can say, I'm here in the water stage, and now I need to sit into the subtle energy to say, how does spirit, what am I downloading from spirit that say, here's the nice, not nice, it doesn't have to be nice. Here's what I'm being called. And matter of fact, it may not be nice. It may be radically tough to show up, to bring the sight, to bring the transformation. Where is that for you? Okay? And you can tell me tomorrow, by the way, every Monday morning, spiritual conversations, tell me then, send me an email, let me know. I would like to know, or just talk to each other. And remember, the Gospel of John, salsa dance. 3 steps. Go to the pause, go to the silence, go to the Christ. Yeah, okay.
Oh, thank you so much. That was great. Lots of things to think about. And if the ushers would please come forward, we've reached the part of our service where we get to practice the abundance that we are. We're always grateful for your generosity, for those of you here in person and those of you watching online. Thank you so much. So as you take your offering to your heart, affirm quietly to yourself, I give freely and joyfully, for God is my source, and I have abundance in all areas of my life. And now, please join me in saying our offertory blessing, and you'll find this in your bulletin. Together, divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And so it is.
call within myself to heaven, our spirits rise, hearts open, transcend to bliss, forgiven all in God's eyes, in the temple of my heart. Every dream's already true. In the temple of my heart, I am me and I am you. In the temple of my heart.
The temple of the heart? Oh, you just wrote that? Oh, so that's we'll call that a Unity Bellingham song. Yeah. You were singing that, I was like going, that's so funny. I say that all the time. It's really good. Yeah. That's how I feel. Like the heart, that's my image. And I know people have a different image, but God, that's, wow, I know, right? Okay, give me a minute. All right, so it's so much gratitude for all that's shared and all that's provided and all that flows in, that flows out, the circle of generosity, the circle of abundance, the truth of our nature. And so we bless these gifts and we send them forth to do good work, in the outer world, and to bless the pause where we allow the spirit of life and the spirit of love, the spirit of the divine, to be the truth of our nature. So we bless the ministry of Unity of Bellingham for unity worldwide, for peace on our planet, so that we may step down in predation consciousness and open up to the consciousness that I am me and you are you, you are me and I am you. What's the word? In the temple of our heart, that we can be in that energy. And so it is. Amen. And so anyhow, I have just a few announcements. First off, for all of you who were here, and I see many of you at the storytelling workshop, thank you so much. I want to and thank the Movers and Shakers group who worked so hard, and you know who you are to put that together. All the people that were here, Brian Flowers was here leading it. Many of you know Brian Flowers. So with a lot of gratitude. And for those of you who told your stories yesterday or may want to still tell a story, just remember that first Friday, we have open mic. That'll be coming up. Vicky Joe's ministry, along with Howard, opening the doors. And I know there's been I've heard, Frank, some interesting karaoke. And some good jokes and a lot of good storytelling. So anyhow, if you didn't get a chance to share your story and want to work on it and still tell it, first Friday, 6:30 up here, open mic night. And Melinda, since we had so much was going on, we didn't do third Friday art. Do you want to do it this Friday? I think it's open. Yeah. Okay. So third Friday art, power art will now be fourth Friday. So and what? Just this month, because we had the story. What's the power this month? Will. Yeah, the power of will. Ooh, we don't talk enough about will. Will's a good one. Yeah. Okay, so I usually put down dates, and I give you new announcements according to dates. So the next big event is August 24th. What happens here? Oh, it's the first weekend of college football. We're not sponsoring anything, but somehow I had to put that on my list. Okay. For those of you who might be interested, okay, don't know who that might be. Okay, no, serious. Well, that was serious, but and other kind of serious. Where's Kathy? Oh, hi. So September 21st, Kathy Murray and friends are leading, we're doing a reader's theater. And in case just to, yeah, you say it, yeah. Okay. Oh, it is? Okay. Well, there you go. She just converted mine into a old-time radio program. And I'm even going to have like a Foley show with it, with the sound effects and everything. And it's the Maltese Falcon. And we're going to ask for $20. And there's going to be dessert bar as part of it. We're going to take a break somewhere after Act 2 of a 3-act old, what's it called? Radio. Say it again.
It's old-time radio.
Old-time radio. Yeah. And so you can have dessert and then ask each other, who do you think did it? You know, we can figure it out. So anyhow, and it's open. We're going to put things in the senior centers September 21st. It's a Saturday. Yeah. And we'll get that in the bulletin, and we might do a sign up just so we know how much dessert, but invite people. This can be really fun, and we'll put some things. We'll give you guys some for the senior center too to put up in the various senior centers, some bulletins. We're going to have those by next week, and I'm really looking forward to this. This is going to be a great time. And then now this is 2 months out, but it's time to start talking about it. October 19th, our second annual Harvest Moon auction. Rosemary's been taking the lead on that, and we already have music set up, I think. What's the music so far? Bellingham Chamber Orchestra, the jazz again, yeah. Cheryl Hodges, playing. Maybe JP, we'll see. It's hard sometimes on a Saturday night for JP. That's how but we'll see. And so now is the time you remember last year, if you have any I had that art, it was a beautiful piece of art, but I'm ready to let that go. I bet someone might want to bid on this. Or also activities. Last time there was a lot of bidding on activities. People found able to do like salon things and haircuts and nails and I don't know, what else? What? Mushroom hunting, jade hunting, raptor hunting. I think whoever won the raptor hunting went the thing was Saturday, and by next Wednesday they had gone already. They saw all sorts of birds they never knew. Yeah, so any kind, pick a ball with the Rev, that's always, a top thing, I think. So that'll be out there again. Mask making. Yeah, maybe we could do mask making. So any kind of service, we won the mask making last year. I'll just sell this, but we won mask making from Lynn. Then we kind of added on a few people. And for Christmas, when the family all came in, we went to Malin's studio and we made masks, things you can hang on your wall. So that was a really great event. So art, people, Gary last year, Gary brought a bike. I mean, things like that. So start thinking about that and let us know. And if you have something, you can bring it in. Like now, we have a closet up here, and we can already start storing stuff. And so we're 2 months out. So please look around and find out. I mean, Joni last year, remember, she said, she painted this picture. She says, I did this years ago. You think anyone would like it? It was like a marvelous piece of art. And so there's all sorts of things people have that maybe you can donate and make it a fun Harvest Moon auction again. Okay, that's it. The only one other thing is, I think many of you know Ellen Kassler, our friend Ellen, who she passed on. I think it's been about 2 months now, right? It's been 3-4 weeks now. Little over 4 weeks, yeah. It's very recent. And she had she did have, for some of you went, a memorial at Cornwall Park. But what we're going to do is her niece, Hildy, did make a little video. And so while we're having, whatever we're having, are we having something? Yeah, we have some stuff. It'll be back here. We're also then going to drop the screen, and we will show that video after service during the time to take. So if you knew Ellen or wanted to see some, it's a nice homage of photos and stuff. So just so we can all remember Ellen. Okay, yeah, Rosemary. Oh, so like a name tag, like the ones that people are wearing, that you can bring them back. We can, erase the marker, and then if it's not been engraved, yeah, bring it back, and we can use the name tags for people who don't have one yet. Okay.